There is no serving, selling without storytelling. That's just the way of it now in marketing and branding. Even the diaper and toy and weird paper product companies are all about stories and connection. Very rarely do you see about the qualities of how much liquid they can suck up or how resilient their toys are against babies and toddlers. It's all about the connection and story to be able to get the product or service into the hands of consumers. So friend, why do you think you're any different? Why do you think that you should just hide your story, hide who you are, hide the very thing that you can connect to your consumers with that will in the end serve them for what they're looking for? I want to talk to you guys a bit about branding, storytelling, and marketing so that you can serve your avatar so you can be successful in business. So welcome back to Business Bites. I am your host, Rachel Branke. We are here with quick bites of content for busy entrepreneurs with an end goal of creating a real business and a real life. Because what is the point in business and all of this mess and stress if we're not able to enjoy the life and have the life that we want to lead? And what goes along with that? The story that we've already had, the story that we can tell to reach our consuming avatar, our potential clients, our potential customers, so that we can get them to buy in, so we can serve them with the solution we have to their problem. Now, as y'all recall from the last few weeks in the series, we have been walking through the formula that I use to demand every decision that I make in business. I get really specific on my consumer avatar. I get really specific and niched on my unique serving position in the marketplace. I scale down on my offerings and I make it so that I have a content runway to educate, inform, and draw my consuming avatar, the person that I want to be my business buddy and buy into me. But I do that through how? Storytelling and connecting. And here's the thing, I didn't want to lead with branding and marketing because guess what? Everyone's using the buzz phrases. Honestly, branding and marketing is not even just a part of what we need to get into. And the reason I didn't lead with those terms is because when I say that, people often think logo, business name, color of website, the filter I use on my Instagram photos, and those are all part of a brand. It really, really is. But what I want to dig into is the storytelling element of this. What is it behind the brand and how do you inject that into your business? Create your content calendar so it's easy for you and also easier for your avatar to buy into you. So of course, like I just mentioned, the key brand elements are visual aesthetics. All of those are going to act to support the story, what we're trying to sell, what we're trying to serve to our avatar, the solution we have to their problem. So we can't just start with name and logo and colors. We got to start at the root of who we are as a business. Keep in mind, I'm bringing this from a standpoint of either solopreneurs or an entrepreneur with a fairly small team. I'm not talking to faceless corporations, large conglomerates. If you're one that wants to hide behind a corporate logo, fine. Maybe you'll still get something out of this, but I am talking about those of us, the creatives, the entrepreneurs, the ones that want to inject ourselves into our business. And sometimes we might actually be our business depending on what we're offering, depending on what we're serving to our avatar. So where do we need to start? With us. What are our values? Yes, we've gone through this whole formula, but we have to package that and partner it with what are our values? What do we want to be known for? Stick with me in this. I'm going to give you guys some quick 5 things at the end of how you can tell your story. I just wanted to lay the foundation here and let each of you know we all have a story to tell. Now my story can be a little extreme, but it's not the most extreme I've heard out there. But it is me and I show up with it. How I've had cancer, I have 5 kids, I compete with Team USA, I am a children's book author on the side when I have time, not even sure what that is, but my story is different than others. But here's the deal, it's not even as crazy and extreme as I've heard from others. It doesn't make my story any less relatable or make my story any less than someone else's. Just as if you feel like you don't have something that you've had to overcome in your life or you don't feel like you have a unique story, guess what? There's a lot of avatars out there who cannot connect and relate with the things that I've gone through or people with more advanced extreme stories than I do. bottom line, we all have a story to tell. We all have values that we want to put into our business. And we need to inject and tie all of that together before we can do any of the forward-facing, any of the front-facing marketing and branding. Because at the core of it, the formula we've gone through, partner with our story and how we want to show up to our customer avatar is what's going to demand all of the content and everything that we put out. So here is what I want y'all to do. I want you to sit down and think about what are some things you've overcome in your life? What are some key aspects that you can be an inspiration to others? What are some ways that you can relate to your avatar? Many of us got into business because we saw a problem in business or in the marketplace and we created the solution for it. Use that. That is a story. It doesn't have to be cancer and babies and law school and all of this like I have. Simply enough. The most simplest story is what will serve your avatar, connect with them, and bring them in the door. So maybe you are someone that has an extreme adversity story, but you don't feel comfortable sharing. You don't have to do that either. Find a way to connect with your audience that does not necessarily walk into the uncomfortable areas of your life. I'm not saying all of you have to go out on the internet and talk about all the most extreme things that's happened to you and how you've overcome them if it doesn't fit into your story or it doesn't fit into how you're going to serve your avatar. So keep in mind, it is unique and specific to you. And I want to package this a little bit of how you can transition not only this whole thinking of what your story could be, but here's some ways to transition how you can create content that is marketing to serve and put yourself in front of your avatar. I'm going to start with 3 story elements that you can bring to the forefront. These aren't necessarily things that you have to go on Instagram or Twitter or wherever and scream about. These are the elements that are going to be part of your story that we're going to bring to the forefront and talk about sometimes, but these are going to be the elements that are going to be more subtle, that you're going to inject into your everyday content when you're trying to serve or sell the solution you have to your avatar's problem. The key main ones are who you are, what has made you who you are, how you offer what you do. These can be visual, they can be subtly interweaved into your marketing, into the stories that you tell. It can be aesthetics such as sounds, video, whatever the medium is that you have. These are 3 subtle story elements that I want you to think of how you can inject. So yes, we've talked about telling our story, but we also need a way to weave it subtly into our story. And I'll give you guys examples here in a bit. Because before we get into talk about how we weave it in, we got to figure out a content structure that we're going to weave it into. So for me, this is my recommendation, and this is not a specific have to do all 5. You could do 3 on this list. Expand it to 7. For me, I like to have 5. 5 is a good round number because then I can portion out the amount of times that I post per week, and 5 works out really well. Whether I do only 5 posts for the week or I do 3 per day, 5 times a week, ends up with 15, good round number. I've gone through this cycle 3 different times. All right, so look at it this way. We want to now find some elements of how we can write content to attract that avatar to buy into the service or product, the solution we have to their problem. The first thing is we want to talk about our audience. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see that many entrepreneurs make. They talk about all their story. Yes, I know. I was just saying how you need to talk about your story, but we want to make the story about your audience. So remember, the 3 story elements: who, what, and why. Who we are, why we are, and what has made us this way. So with the number 1 on here, we want to talk about the audience, but weave these 3 in. We can set the stage with our story, but in the end, talk about what we can do for the audience, or spin it around to say, I was where you are. This was my story, and this is how I ended up. That goes with the who, what, why that we're subtly putting in there, but the end result of that piece of content is going to be about the audience. The second piece of content we want to put into our strategy is going to be a tip or quote related to the content or the solution that we have to their problem. So you could put out a quote that is pressing on the pain point that they have, and then your caption can have the solution. Or you can do the inverse. Talk about the solution and then expand out how you had that problem. You see that problem in the audience and how your solution is the one that they should buy into. The third key is an inspirational piece. We want to inspire those that come to us. Now, I know this seems a little common sense and weird, and you see it all over Instagram and Pinterest. We're going to put inspo quote, inspo quote, inspo quote. I'm totally cool with that. I embrace that and do that too. It can be a little bit more subtle than that. I want you to think about like when the Olympics comes around and all the product advertisers are going on. They're not talking about the features of their product. They're talking about the stories and the inspiration and the moments that come out of the Olympics. I want you to frame your mind in the same way to be inspirational here. So your inspirational piece can be your story about how you overcame adversity, or how you help somebody to overcome adversity, or even somebody you don't even know, how they overcame it and apply it to exactly what you're also trying to offer. And of course, we got to talk about ourselves a little bit. Our audience needs to know who we are. This is a great time to talk about your story or completely unrelated. These are the days that I absolutely love to bring in elements of me that are just fun, that I love coffee, that I love dogs, that I love competing in triathlons, just about me to make me human relatable and give them a little break on this whole hard-hitting story, pressure point. I have the solution to your problem. Let them get to know you a little bit. If you notice, I'm on number 4 of 5, and only one so far has been about me. The rest has been all about what I can do for the audience or about them. And number 5, go completely off topic. Go completely off topic and just get engagement and conversation going. Don't tie it to your story. Don't tie it to who you are and your story and what you can provide. Simply just conversate. Simply just connect and look around and see the people that are interacting with you online and just talk. Do you know that GIFs, memes, and those have the best engagement, and they're typically completely unrelated to the solution that many entrepreneurs are selling? But it gets engagement, it shows that you're a person, it shows that you're real. So those are the 5 content pieces that I want you to take and interweave the 3 subtle story elements, whether it's visually or in text or audio, video, whatever it is that you do. Interweave it together, because all of this is how we're going to communicate the story that we have. That's it. That's the quick bite of content I have for you this week. Make sure you jump into the Facebook group, Business Bites Podcast, and join us, because we have a thread every week discussing the subject matter. If you want more hand-to-hand help on this, Real Biz Accelerator over at rachelbrady.com is open for enrollment. I would love for you to join me. We dig down deep into this. We develop your story. We find one if you think you don't have one. If you know you have one but you don't know how to manage it, I got you. I can help you. So come in and join us, and I'll talk to you guys next week.